patrons! Welcome back to another video here on this channel. Today I decided to do something else. I randomly picked 5 books from my bookshelves and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about them. So yeah, I have 5 books here right next to me and I'm quite excited to tell you about them. So let's just go right to the first book, shall we? So the first book I have here is this one. It's Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and I bought it when I was out with some friends in Breda, and I've only read it once so far, but I'm probably gonna read it many more times coming in the coming future. But yeah, this book, it's a really fun story. I immediately started reading it when I was on the train back home, and it's just kind of a fantasy story about peculiar children, as the title already says. It's like a boy who's consistent of bees and an invisible boy and stuff like that. It's written by Ransom Riggs, and there are 2 other parts about the same characters and stories and stuff like that, and I'm dying to buy the other 2 parts, but well, money. But yeah, I really love this book, and normally I'm not really into that fantasy stuff, but it's a really fun book, and there are some scary parts, but maybe that's just because I'm a scary pants. But yeah, I really recommend the book, and I also bought it because I really wanted to see the movie, but I don't really like watching movies while I haven't read the stories, like the books they're based on. So now I have read this book and I'm excited to watch the movie. So yeah, book number 1. Second book I have here, it's this one. It's fairly thick and it's in Dutch. It's called The Steenstraat, and it's written by Elizabeth Honey, so I'm pretty sure there's an English version of this somewhere. I'm gonna look it up and put the title in the description. But yeah, this book. There's also a part 2 of this. No, I'm lying. This is an omnibus, which means there are 2 parts in this book. So we have the first part, which is Steenstraat 45 and 47. And again, pretty sure there's an English version somewhere. And then we also have De Vakantie van de Steenstraat, which, yet again, pretty sure there's an English version of. So these are 2 books, and I've read them both like 5 times already. I really love it. It's about children, and they live in the same street, and they're just friends with each other, and they have so many stories and so many adventures, and it's just really fun to live. I loved this book when I was a tad bit younger. My taste has developed a bit, but I still love it. It's a good book. So yeah, I really recommend it. Go read it. So, a third book I have here with me is this one. I bought it because we had to read it for school, my first class of high school, or middle school as you call it. We'll do a video about our school system somewhere in the future, but yeah, I had to read this in my first class, and it's called Kruistocht in Spijkerbroek. And it's written by Thea Beckman. I'm not sure if there is an English version of it, so I'm gonna look it up and put it in the description or here somewhere, so you can look it up and maybe read it if you want to. But yeah, it's basically about time traveling, kind of. It's about a kid who lives in the current time. Like in this book, it was written like, when was it written? It's written in... I can't find it. It's written quite some time ago. and it's about the boy in the current time in this book, and he time travels back to 1212, which is around the time of the Crusades, and yeah, it's so he arrives in one of the child crusades, and basically he just travels with them, and that's the story you read in this book. So I read it for one of my classes, but I've read it a few times after that because it's a really adventurous book with a nice storyline and adventures, and just kids that were my age when I read this first, or like even a tiny bit older than when I read this. And yeah, it's just really interesting to read about those times because naturally we haven't experienced those times, so it's really nice to read about it. So as you can see, it's also a bit broken. It's not really how I like my books, but it says quite a bit about how much it has been read. My sister also read it, and I think she also loved it really well. So yeah, third book. The next book, I'm sure you all know it. It's again in Dutch because I was quite young when I bought this, but it's Narnia. And I really loved Narnia, the series, back when I was younger. So it's a small book. I believe it's like the movie version because there are pictures in it from like the movie. Let me search one. Let me see. Like, look, they have like this in it. So I'm pretty sure this is the movie version, but again, I've had this a long time, and I probably bought it when I was very young, or even got it when I was very young. But yeah, Narnia. I loved it. The story is amazing. I love the fact it's about children. Like, I think almost all the books I have in common, they're about children who have some kind of adventure, and I think it pretty much describes my my thoughts back when I bought the books. Maybe some kind of craving for some big adventures, because my life's not that exciting and I'm not really an exciting kid, so maybe it just excites me to read about them. But yeah, this right here is the first one. It's The Lion, the Witch and the Closet in English, but of course I have the Dutch version, so it's Narnia, the leeuw, the heks and the kleerkast. And it's an English series, so I'm gonna look it up and put it in the description again so you can go check it out if you haven't yet. But it's a great book, it's a great story, and I really loved the movie too. And again, I've read this before I watched the movie because I'm kind of a weird kid who likes to have read the books before I go and watch the movies. But yeah, Narnia, really loved that too. And then we go on to the last book already, and the last book I have here is another English one. It's The Girl Who Saved the King of Sweden, and it's written by Jonas Jonasson. And I've read this with some friends. We bought the same book and read it in a month or so, and then we talked about it. But it's a quite thick book, as you can see, and I think this was my first book in English. I bought it like 2 years ago, so I started quite late with reading in English, but I really like reading in English. But yeah, the book. It's basically about a girl who grows up in Africa, and then she goes on and be the girl who saves the king of Sweden. And it's a really nice story to read. It's nice to see that someone, like the girl, obviously she comes from Africa, so she's darker skinned and she's considered to be in the lower social classes, but she goes on and does something good. She turns out to be like a math wonder, and it's really nice to read, and sometimes it drags on a bit, but eventually you'll learn to love it because it's a great book with a great story, and yeah, I like it. So that were just 5 random books pulled from my bookshelves. Let me know if you want me to do another one of these. I quite like talking about books. I also really like reading them. My university work prevents me a bit from reading as much as I used to, but I still really like reading. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Subscribe, thumbs up, and stay absolutely trash.